We've just entered into the magnificent month of Adar, a second Adar. The month of Adar is associated with joy, happiness, and transformation. The whole story of Purim is about a Jewish people confronting a final solution designed by Haman, an attempt to destroy the Jewish people. And by the end of the story, it has transformed completely into a moment of ecstatic joy. The enemy is delivered into our hands, and Bnei Israel continue to prosper. May Hashem transform the difficulties that we are presently confronting, particularly in Europe and particularly with situations of war and all of its impact on people's lives, dislocated from their homes, injury, God forbid, loss, institutions, organizations, shuls not being able to function. May Hashem transform all of these difficult moments into times in which the world can rejoice and can sense peace on earth with the coming of our righteous Redeemer, Mashiach Tzidkenu. This Shabbat is also a transition point because we complete the book of Exodus. We say the words as we say every time we complete a book of the Torah, Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek, let us be strengthened, let us be strengthened, let us take strength. The book of Exodus is about freedom. It's about a nation who is enslaved in the land of Egypt and their travails and their travels and their journeys all the way through the desert for the years to come, receiving the Torah, making mistakes by dancing around the golden calf, and God telling us how to fix even the problems by building a sanctuary for Hashem. And in great detail, we speak about that sanctuary we built, designed by God, and God's presence descends and fills the space. We have achieved freedom, we have achieved the purpose and the goal of God on earth. We've created a home, a place, a space on earth in which God feels comfortable because his mission is being achieved. There's one further ingredient needed for the sanctuary. Vayevarech Moshe Rabbeinu, the Raya Mehemna, the faithful shepherd and the shepherd of faith, blesses this beautiful sanctuary just before it becomes operational. And what is the blessing that Moshe Rabbeinu gives the space? He says, Yehi Ratzon, may it be the will, Shetishra Shechina B'Maaseh Yadeinu, that the divine presence should rest in the work of our hands. My father, Zichrono Livracha, whose Yortzeit, 30th Yortzeit, is this coming week, would always repeat this thought on this Shabbat. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu bless the sanctuary? May it be the will of God, that his presence fills the space that he had instructed us to build. Of course it was the will of God. Why do we need a blessing? May it be the will of God. This was, after all, God's will. He instructed it. He told us what to build and what to do in all its great detail. Of course it was the will of God. Why do we need a blessing? May it be the will of God. It was, of course, the will of God. My father pointed out that in the blessing of Moshe Rabbeinu, the subject of the sentence is missing, leading to an ambiguity or an interpretation that deviates from its simple meaning. Yehi Ratzon, may it be the will, was not being addressed to God. God certainly had the will. Moshe Rabbeinu turned to his brothers and sisters, our people Israel, and he said, my people Israel, Yehi Ratzon, may it be your will, my people Israel. Shetishra Shechina, that the divine presence should always dwell in the work of our hands. May you always retain the passion and the will and the excitement and enthusiasm of this day, the day of the inauguration of the sanctuary. Moshe Rabbeinu knows the nature of a human being. The moments that we begin things, when we're excited and enthusiastic, we're ecstatic, we're determined, we're so filled with enthusiasm. And as time wanes, it becomes more pedestrian, becomes just another habitual act of our lives. Sometimes we forget what filled our hearts when we initiated that process. So often a bar mitzvah boy stands on the bima, and there is so much excitement. You look at the faces of the parents of the bar mitzvah boy, everyone feels that this is a magic moment of transition, manhood, Jewish manhood, entering into the responsibilities of an adult Jew. And time goes by, we forget that moment of pride, and suddenly it just becomes so routine. We forget all the thoughts that filled our minds at that critical moment of beginnings. So often a bride and groom stand underneath the chuppah. You feel the passion, you feel the excitement, you feel the dreams that they are hoping for to achieve and to accomplish as a couple together. And then we allow the regular activities of life to creep in to such an extent that we forget the magic. We forget the love, the devotion, the hopes, the aspirations that we had in that first moment. So often when we bring a child into the world at the bris, look at the parents' faces. They have so many hopes and aspirations for this child. What happens to our dreams? What happens to our enthusiasm and excitement? What happens when we begin things and initiate things with so much determination and time goes by and then it just becomes so regular, so accepted? We forget to give our all to make it happen. It says Moshe Rabbeinu to the Jewish people, look at this beautiful sanctuary, magnificent. God's so happy. His presence has just ascended. Yehi Ratzon, may it be your will, my people Israel. May you never lose that passion and enthusiasm. May you always retain the excitement of this first day. Look at us on this day. We're shining. We're so filled, so encouraged, so determined to make it happen. May this be our will every single day of our lives. May we never lose that excitement to make this day so special. May this be a message at the conclusion of the book of Exodus, a time of freedom, a time of the month of Adar and transformation. May all of us remember our dreams, the beginnings, the moments that we started. Let that fill our every single day with growing determination each and every day of our life. Have a beautiful Shabbos.